Venus and Mars tend to indicate love relationships. So this is going to be a big week ahead. On the 29th of July, that conjunction is exact, where the whole week is infused with the relational aspect of reality and what you're going to do with that in your life. And the impulse between the masculine energy of Mars, the yang, and the feminine energy of Venus, the yin, in relationship to each other, that dynamic tension like this. Like that, a little bit like this, yeah? Tension, dynamic tension, like creates momentum. Conflict creates character growth. And it is in the arc of growing in your character that you will find who you are in the friction of a relationship.
Lunatic astrology.
There is something about love when Venus and Mars quarrel in a square that we feel the sharp edges of it. Those people that we care for in a romantic and passionate way, and they for us will feel this dynamic tension in this week ahead. And we'll also notice on the world stage matters connected to peace and harmony relative to conflict and war may be coming into a critical turning point. In today's video, we're going to break down the week ahead of the 27th of the month of July through to August the 2nd or 3rd, and talk about this square between Mars and Venus. And this is going to be the kind of video where we're going to bring all your attention to the love story, because quite often the cosmic lovers in a square is exactly what it sounds like. It's a dynamic tension in the area of your life that you would consider love and romance, love and passion. There's a great quote from the actress Katharine Hepburn that I love, and I'm going to read that to you. I have it on a book on my shelf here, and it's marriage is a series of desperate arguments people feel passionately about. I love that. Marriage is a series of desperate arguments people feel passionately about. A substitute marriage for I'm in a relationship with somebody. And interestingly, she was born with a Venus-Mars square. So we're going to talk about how that might play out this week ahead. But also, I want you to understand that Venus and Mars in a square relationship, 90 degrees apart from each other, is actually a part of a larger cycle. And that bigger picture is that on January the 8th, those two planets came together in a joined energy called a conjunction, and that happened at 18 degrees of Capricorn. And in fact, the way they came together in Capricorn hasn't happened for about 30 years, and so, goes back to like 1993. And so this energy is very, very important. And because they came together in a joining way in Capricorn in this particular sky, they're not going to complete the real story, what this is about, until November of 2027. Yeah, you heard me right. We're talking January of 26 to November of 27. That is the dance that these two people, Venus and Mars, are doing together, these two planetary archetypes. And there's going to be points along the way, moments in time, where the story takes yet another twist or another turn. So if you have a pen and paper, in a minute, I'm going to give you those dates. I want you to write them down, because you'll be able to say that what was initiated, seeded, and begun, what started in your life in January of 2026, which does not complete into 27 November, there are going to be specific windows of time you need to pay attention to. So I will give those times to you in a sec, which I think you might want to write down, put on notes, put it in your notes or something like that so you can use it. So welcome to my channel. My name is Lori Lothian. Thank you for being here. This is Western Tropical Zodiac Astrology. If you're not familiar with my channel, you know that I'm an advocate for using the whole sign house system just in order to use timing tools properly. Check out description box below for my free tutorial on how to cast your chart in whole sign houses. This will allow you to also find your rising sign and which houses your planets are sitting in when you were born. And you might know that I am a teaching astrologer, and I'm teaching my Sky Reader 7.0 class, 7 seasons of Sky Reader, every fall. And this is a 7-week course live with me. You're going to learn how to read your own sky and time your best life. I hope that's my goal for you. And you're also going to be able to use a couple of very simple timing tools to do that. So our goal in this class with my teaching staff, my assistants, and me is to get you up to speed on the very basic ability to look at your kids' charts, your friends, your family, and yourself. If you want to come aboard, of course, we have a huge amount of support. We got my Facebook group for you. We've got community support on Discord. This is not a certification course. You're coming to learn how to look at your own sky, maybe friends and family, and get started on learning the language of of the sky. So welcome to the group, to the course. If you want to sign up, the information is below. And at the end of this video, just before the members only extended section, every Monday we have a members only extended section. Before that, there's also me overviewing some of the course details for you in a mini video. And the timestamps will show you how to get there. We have a big deep discount price by the end of July. But then if you miss that, there's even still a decent price in August, and it goes full price in September. We start the third week of September, 9:30 a.m. Okay, 9:30 in the morning, Pacific time on Saturdays for 7 weeks. Plus we have many guest teachers also teaching separate courses on Thursday nights, and you get to keep those courses forever. So medical astrology, relocation astrology, choosing the right time to do something, an election astrology. So all of that is available. More information can be found on my website. Let's get to your story. Mars, Venus, Mars, Venus. One of my favorite friends and teachers, one-time teacher now, colleague and friend, is Ren Butler of the Archetypal Universe. Wonderful book, wonderful man. I always recommend people who want to dive into more of a Jungian or archetypal astrology. He's a great teacher, and he teaches every fall. Now, the thing I want to share with you is that Mars and Venus together in its archetypal simplicity is passionate enthusiasm for life, emotional warmth and vitality, dynamic cravings for fun and enjoyment, and harmonious self-assertion. I like all of that, but get that tension. We get, love, jealousy, and betrayal and anger in situations to do with emotional gratification and, romance. And technically speaking, Mars is your action man, and Venus always is what we love and a desire to attract into our lives. And the impulse between the masculine energy of Mars, the yang, and the feminine energy of Venus, the yin, in relationship to each other, that dynamic tension like this, like that, a little bit like this, yeah, is important. Okay, so in case you don't like friction, in case you think, oh my God, life should be a bed of roses, everything should be smooth sailing, everything should be wonder bar. Well, think about it this way. If you're reading a romance novel and the couple was completely happy together, they never argued, and everything about their life was simple, easy, and enjoyable, and literally you wouldn't read the book, right? Or watch the movie. Tension, dynamic tension, like creates momentum. Conflict creates character growth. And it is in the arc of growing in your character that you will find who you are in the friction of a relationship. And that, of course, is all relationships, your boss, your children. But Venus and Mars tend to indicate love relationships. So this is going to be a big week ahead. On the 29th of July, that conjunction is exact, where the whole week is infused with the relational aspect of reality and what you're going to do with that in your life. Now, the world, of course, will experience stuff as well, because Mars is about war and conflict and division and aggression. And Venus is about peace and love and harmony. And they're not working together very well. Venus will be in Virgo. She'll square Mars, who's happening to be through the sign of the Gemini twins. There's a lot of tension because Gemini can be warring neighbors, warring brothers, warring next door people like the McCoys and the Hatfields, but also civil war, the south and north of United States during the Civil War, right? The United States is born with Mars in Gemini, and they are prone to conflict within the country, battle lines drawn in the civil warfare of a nation. This means to me that we're going to see some real tension and peace in the world in places where wars are currently ongoing. Now, we already think it's bad. We already consider, I'm recording on July 21, that things are pretty rough already. So I can only imagine they might look even more turbulent during that week ahead. Countries and places that have strong Virgo or Gemini placements or their leaders will be implicated. For example, Donald Trump is a Gemini sun. And for example, just using examples, right? Lebanon is a Virgo rising, and Mexico as well. So places where we have strong leaders with Virgo placements. The ruler of the little blue and white nation in the Middle East is fighting with everybody. His midheaven is in Virgo. So we can say that Virgo people and Virgo nations are really intensely activated and maybe in harm's way because, well, Mars is a neutral dignity in Gemini, the sign of the warring neighbors and brothers and twins, conflict, division. It's not they're warring until Mars gets there. They're just neighbors, brothers, twins. And then we get Mars in the mix and we get conflict amongst those neighbors and all of that, neighboring nations, neighbors in real life. Venus is in detriment. She's in a condition of fall because she's fallen in Virgo, right? She's exalted in Pisces. And not only is she fallen in Virgo, but we also have the South Node still hanging out there until the 27th or so. So she's been under a huge amount of difficult energy as we approach this week ahead. And then she will be released from the grip of the South Node of loss, surrender, as we move towards Wednesday. But there's still the beginning of the week where she's in co-presence and debilitated with the South Node, and Mars is angry and gnarly from Gemini, squaring her 90 degrees away. And therefore, I would say, perhaps if we're looking at the world stage, maybe Sunday through to Wednesday is when the most difficult circumstances might arise in relationship to war, and war not going well, war escalating, war increasing, devastating results in war, that kind of thing. Now, for your sign, you're not a warrior on the battlefield. You're not somebody for whom this makes any sense, so you don't have to worry about it. Rather, instead, what we're going to focus on is your romantic life. In the next hour for my weekly video or less, we're going to talk about how I think you should deal with this. Now, I'm going to give you the dates I wanted you to take down. So get your pen, get your paper. On January 8th, Venus joined Mars in Capricorn. This happened at 18 degrees of Capricorn, and this is the beginning of something it will not complete until November of 2027. In the meantime, on July the 29th, 2026, we have Mars and Venus square from Virgo and from Gemini. Make sure I got that right. October the 10th, 2026. We're going to see that Venus is in detriment in the sign of Scorpio. We call it a sign of her exile. So she's not in great shape there either. And Mars will be in a square relationship to her at that time from the sign of Leo. And so we're going to see a lot more tension in each of our lives. I'm asking you to consider your story. So point 1, conjunction. Point 2, July 29th, tension. Point 3, October 10th. Tension, a week or two around that. And then we move into the next year, and on January 16th, Venus will be traveling through Sag, squaring Mars in the sign of Virgo. And then on March 19th, 2027, or next year, hope I said that right, we're going to see Venus at 19 degrees of Aquarius opposite Mars in the sign of Leo. And then on June the 23rd, 2027, we're going to see Venus traveling through the sign of those twins, Gemini, squaring Mars in Virgo. In fact, in June of 2027, we're just flipping the script of what we're experiencing this July. So those are dates in which this story is unfolding, and by November of 27, it is done. When it comes to relationships, okay, that is what we're talking about, is going to be transformed in a way that you're not often seeing. I'm going to share an image with you just so you can understand the way this synodic cycle works. Okay, I'm teaching you something here. I want you to understand that every 2 years, roughly, Mars and Venus join in a sign. And in that window of up to 24 months after, we are engaging in a lesson. And the real lesson is Capricorn. The real lesson, even though the square is between Virgo and Gemini, the starting point of the conception of the whole thing is Capricorn. So in our video today, we're going to talk about that for you. I want to share something with you. It could be helpful. A little screenshot I took for you guys from AstroSeek. And I think it'll help you understand what I'm trying to get at when you understand how synodic cycles look, right? And you'll notice how Venus and Mars started a new story that would take almost 2 years to unfold, 2019 to 21, in Virgo back in 2019. But we keep going forward, and we see that as we approach the now, we see that January the 8th of 2026, they come together in the sign of Capricorn, and they close out that story in November of 27 and do a whole new beginning in the sign of Sagittarius. And then in 2028, they reset a button in the sign of Gemini, and then 2028, they reset again in Leo because of retrogradation, which is not that common. And that story closes out in November of 2029. If you go back before this conjunction, the one that happened in Capricorn, you'll notice that in 2024, February, Venus and Mars joined in the sign of Aquarius. If you're like me, I'm an Aquarius rising, or your sun or moon is there, then quite possibly what you've noticed, maybe, is that there's some major themes in February of 2024 right, all the way to January of 2026 for all Aquariuses to do with your romantic love life. That would have been your code. And you even had another starting point in March of 2022 to February 24 because Venus managed to do a double dip. So there's major changes for all Aquarians. Tell me in the comments if this is true. How has your romantic life, your marital life, whatever, your relational life changed dramatically between 2022 and November of 2000 and January of 2026. You had 2 cycles back to back. And I can say I went from single to a very significant relationship that transformed into a friendship. It's been a huge learning curve for me these last 4 years, and it's been exceptionally important to who I am today in this world. So I want you guys to maybe just screenshot this if you like, or use it somehow. I don't know if Stella's going to stick it off to my left or right. She's my editor. And I hear you guys, by the way, some of you are not too fond of the old Shure mic that I was using or the new one. This is a Yeti. I even put foam on it. I've baffled the hell out of this room. I'm in a dark room now in the middle of the day recording for you just to try to get the sound right. Please be patient with me on the sibilance. It's been hell at a handbasket to get the microphone and the Riverside and the Mac to work together. And now I'm having to find audio engineering people who can de-ess the audio. So be kind. It's not a lisp. I don't have a tongue ring and I don't have braces. And now that I'm recording in a dark room, I don't like it. I'm in the middle of a beautiful day, and to get the sound baffled, I've had to shutter myself into like a containment field. I don't think I can do this because I missed the sunlight already. I talk fast. You can slow me down on the playback speed. If you've been enjoying my content for a while and you haven't subscribed or liked, would you consider doing that? It really helps my channel grow. The algorithm is all dependent on your liking and subscribing. So let's get going and bring you into the sky. And we're also going to move more closely into alignment to the 29th of July. Where you see this. Now, there are other things happening this week. I know you guys know there are other things happening this week. I've done videos on the Sun-Jupiter conjunction. I've done videos on the Aquarius moon. We're focusing primarily on one thing, the square between Mars here and Venus here. And you'll see on the 29th, 30th, Wednesday, Thursday, it becomes quite exact. It really depends on time zone. So here we have it exact at 21 degrees, okay? This is Tuesday, the 28th. It's really time zone dependent, but there's 28th, 29th, like in Australia, it'll be the 29th. You're going to feel this energy. And it's building about 3 or 4 days before. Not great for the world, of course, as I mentioned, but in your own life, it can be something to do with your romantic affairs or your love life affairs, even if you're single, even if you're not married. All right, so let's get started and let's talk about your sign. Hello, guys. You always ask me, rising sign, sun or moon, how do I listen to this thing in astrology? Well, your sun is who you really are. Think of it about your spiritual essence, your divine light, the flame of your soul that lives forever, takes on a body, and that body is the ascendant. You might think of your sun sign like the actor who plays the role in the movie. Your sun is the real you, and the role you're playing in the movie, well, that's your rising sign. You tend to look like that sign. You tend to act like the personhood of that character in the simulation. It is not your real self, but you need a vehicle for your spirit to express. And when we look at your moon sign, we think about how you feel and think about life, your happiness, your emotional blueprint, your subjective well-being. But you remember the moon is only reflecting the light of the spiritual essence of you, the sun. So therefore, it's a temporary aspect or an operating system for your consciousness. I see a lot of the time that people's moon sign is really useful when you want to see how you're going to feel about this sky, but it also connects you very strongly to energies of home, safety, nest, and mother. The moon is that stuff to do with the nurturant part of reality. When we talk about your sun sign, it can be father related material, but also connections to your purpose and career. For your soul isn't here, it's on planet Earth to do something, right? And we usually call that a purpose of some kind. And lastly, the ascendant, very sensitive to your body, very sensitive to the fates and the circumstances of life. That is where your rising sign is, how you showed up, took the first breath of life. What was the sign on the eastern horizon at the time of birth? That's what the rising sign is. And it's very accurate for delineating a astrology at least until the age of mid-40s, and we begin to move back into our true self, into our solar energy, and we'll notice that our sun sign becomes as accurate or can be more and more actively useful for prediction. Already, sometimes you'll look at children for the first 7 years and they're operating primarily on sun sign energy. So when you're looking at your kids, definitely listen for their sun sign over their rising sign. All right, guys, here's that short form. Take it away. Let's go into the chart ahead. Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. The first thing you have to notice here is that the cosmic lovers, Venus and Mars, are in a dynamic tension from your 3rd house to your 6th house. This is not normally about romantic love. This is normally about work-related matters. And there is tension between humans here. Venus is in the house of work, employees. She's also in the house of your pets, and Mars is in the house of the neighbors and neighborhood, and also your social media and online world. There could be some major friction going on between your workspace, your colleagues, your employees or employer relationships, and matters connected to travel, short distances. For example, maybe you had a trip planned and you are so excited, and now something's getting in the way of that journey. Something's obstacling you here. And it may be work obligations as well, because Venus is in the work house, and there's a lack of ease here right now. Maybe Venus, in her detriment, is paying so much attention to details in the workspace that you're just frazzled, which is me, by the way, Aries, sun, and moon, with the recording mic and the sound system and the lighting. The other thing that you might want to notice about this is that it started in Capricorn back in January on the 8th. Capricorn, it's a part of the sky that's specifically connecting you, like, to the energy of your career. And Venus is in the career house. And over the next couple of years until November 27, everything you're doing is to find a harmonious balance between the masculine and feminine, your doingness and your creativity, your receptiveness, and your action plans. This is a divine union between masculine and feminine you're trying to establish in your career. Now, this last happened, this conjunction, back in 1993. And that story, therefore, is back again, 93, 94. And you might have noticed back in 93, 94, into 95, that you were trying to create that, divine communion in your career as well. And you're trying to find that middle path, that perfect path. So with this energy here, Venus is not too happy in your workspace, or if you're unemployed, that's why she's unhappy. Mars is pushing her, at her, to make some kind of decisions about the workspace and to finally figure something out. And so there's just this crisis energy coming through right now. Mars can be all about your drive and ambition, that you're trying to get something to happen in the 3rd house: writing, teaching, marketing, selling, communicating. Venus, work routines, etc. Lots of gritty vibe here. The essence of what you're trying to establish is most important. Ask yourself how your career space and purpose space and visible actions in the world — if you're retired, you got to do something in the world, right? What do people notice you doing? How that is driving you. And you're really trying to think, hey, January of 2026 to November 27, I'm trying to find the balance here. And easier said than done, all right? Always easier said than done. And this is a critical pivot point where maybe you get a new momentum or new decision or new action plan about how to create that divine, perfect balance between actions and decisions and creativity and enjoyment of your career. And this is a nice turning point. It's not easy. You're going to feel it, as I said, all the way through this week ahead, maybe Sunday through to even Friday, but it is a critical vibe. So pay attention to what happens here as well. Venus in detriment, not doing so well, feeling ill at ease, rules your money house. And so there can be some tension here with how much money you're spending, or your money issues and your career, and things that are changing and need to change. And this can be elimination. Maybe you need to eliminate certain projects in your writing, selling, teaching, communicating. Maybe you need to downsize. Maybe you need to cut an employee out, for example, if you have them. Maybe you need to quit your job. Maybe it's time to take time off. And that's okay too. Taking time off for a job, taking a break, is a good thing during this sky. So that week ahead shows you how to do that. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. Venus is squaring Mars. Mars is in your money house, but there is tension on the financial front. There may be decisions you're trying to make about money, about your spending, about your earnings and habits, but it's also connected to your romantic love partners as well as your own children. And your own children may be undergoing some dynamic money tension that you are getting pulled into this week ahead, or your romantic love partner. Venus here can bring good fortune financially, and there may be something in the life of a Taurus that feels like a lucky break in the money story. Even when she's debilitated, she is in a house of her joy. And a good money break now brings critical life-changing decisions, right? You got to make a decision about the money, and you may have already had a money surprise. Uranus Venus gave you a positive financial surprise. For example, my Taurus daughter got a week ago or so, I'm recording on July 21st, news that she was entitled to some estate money from her father's affairs, right? And it's kind of like she needs that. She's a young woman trying to make her way in the world, and suddenly she may be getting a little bit of money there. Not a lot, but some. And this square is also about your speech, harsh speech, shocking speech towards a romantic partner or one of your children. So this is where the love, the sharp edges of love are felt in your world. Because this began in Capricorn, as I said in the intro, please go watch it. The story is January of 26 to all the way to November of 2027. You're trying to align with purpose. What the cosmic lovers are trying to achieve is a perfect balance between receptive, creative, and enjoyment energies, and Mars actions, decisions, and plans, and like driving forward with some ambition. And the key is purpose. If you're a Taurus, you may be looking keenly for a sense of alignment with your dharmic path. And some of you may even be pulled to go back to school by 2027 November. Go to school for the first time. Higher education school may draw you. Some of you may under the sky be really compelled to think about moving to another country even. And some of you may be really, really drawn in the next 2 years to even, spend some time thinking about the writing and publishing industry, if that's something you've ever thought of doing. And so the restart button of Mars and Venus in your 9th house is still playing out in this part 2 of many segments of turning points. If you want to buy a luxury item, this can happen. Mars is making the decision to buy a luxury item connected to something that would give you pleasure and enjoyment. And then you're going to ask yourself, if I buy this luxury item, and will it this week ahead, will it support what I'm trying to achieve here? Going back to school, like you need a better computer, or having possible success in publishing industry, or so you want to sign up for some or buy some luxury item for your writing and publishing stories. But there's something to keep in mind, that if you exclude the 9th house, you'll just think it's a rough week on a money front, or a tension with a child or lover with money, or you'll miss the point. The point is, are you on purpose? Are you moving in alignment with your dharma? Are you in a true north alignment with what you're here to do in this world? That's what this is for. And this is just a subdivision. This is a chapter in the larger story. I wouldn't start a new relationship here. You could be tempted, Taurus. This could feel like hot, sexy romance. You could feel really attracted to somebody, or they're attracted to you. This square bakes in long-term problematic energy for an inception. So don't go on a couple first dates this week. Don't do it. Just pause that dating button. It will probably lead to a very unsatisfactory relationship. It's not a good time for that at all. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. The energy of Venus in your 4th house, she's trying to bring you pleasure in your home, and she's trying to bring you enjoyment in your home, and she's trying to bring you satisfaction in your home. And yet, in this week ahead, she'll end up being pushed and shoved around by Mars, who's in your 1st house. You're the pusher, you're the shover, Gemini. And Venus is taking the brunt of it. Now, you might be really hard on another person in your home this week ahead. You might be giving them a lot of friction or grief. Someone you're living with, someone who's visiting you, it doesn't matter. Family members in the home, romantic partners in the home. And at the same time, Venus here in the home, in the house of the home, is doing her darndest to bring some kind of deep, profound satisfaction in your everyday, go to bed at night and sleep. What the funny part about this is that Venus and Mars in the square are really out picturing a new story that's going to take you until November of 2027 to fully fulfill. And that is that Capricorn story here in your 8th house. In your 8th house, you are rebooting your finances, most of you, and you may be proceeding along a path of spiritual enlightenment. Either are true, because Venus and Shiva Shakti, divine masculine and feminine, merged in your 8th house of dissolution of the ego in January. And that might be a big story for you over the next year and a half until November of 27. But if you're not doing that, this is like my banks, my loans, my mortgages, my taxes, my business money, my venture capital money, my AdSense, Google revenue, my royalty income from a book publishing house is unearned income in a paycheck way. It's money that you consider a shared asset or resource. Inheritances are also here. So there's a major reset button for you at this time. And if you watch the introduction to this video, and I encourage you to do that, please, because you'll learn again about what synodic cycles are offering you. You did have a reset button in your 8th house in February of 2022 that didn't complete at all until March of 2022. And it was a short little window, February of 2022 to March of 2022. It was a short little window of a reset button by Mars and Venus in a joining together. And it was oddly short, by the way, because of retrogradation. But if you wanted to go back to that time, you might be able to compare some notes. Okay, you might be able to say, okay, yeah, February of 22 to March of 22, I made some major changes in my reality around my money. So my sun has progressed into Gemini, and that window of time that I'm talking about did have an impact on my finances in a significant way. I made a major decision to relocate from Quebec, where I was living in Montreal, back to Vancouver based on my tax bill that shocked me and made me realize I couldn't continue. Oh, wait, that was the year before. What did I do then? I'll have to think about it. But there would have been some changes in the short window of time I'm mentioning. I want you to think about another element of the 8th house, which can be the occult mystery house. I mean, maybe you've been propelled to begin a passionate love affair with the occult mystery. What are you being asked to fall in love with when the cosmic lovers have united there? And you might be asked to fall in love with your occult mastery, psychic ability, astrology, numerology, any of those paranormal, supernatural areas of reality as well. Occult means hidden knowledge. So I'm going to dive down the rabbit hole of these disciplines that we call esoteric and occult. And maybe that's where your passion has been ignited, right? That's where the takeoff fuel hit you in January. Now, I've got a great I know what I did in 2022. I studying with Ren Butler of the Archetypal Universe. I'm pretty sure that's when I was learning from him. Possibly. But this time around, if I think about my progressed Gemini sun, what I have done is started studying Vedic astrology with a year-long certification program. And that happened after this conjunction in the occult mysteries house. So there's an example for you. Just watch that you don't burn bridges this week. Your anger, your flying off the handle verbally or aggressively with Uranus turbocharging you could absolutely shatter this person here. And this person here can be a child because Venus rules your house of children. Don't lose your shit with a child, young or old, adult or not. This is a place where you might cause harm inadvertently cause harm. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. I hope you had a chance to watch the intro to understand that although this week is a particular vibe, it's really a part of a larger cycle. As Mars will press against Venus in a square, you may be feeling a lot of pressure this week to make some changes to your local environment, whether that's your local habits, routines, and patterns that you do on the daily, yoga class, go for a walk at night, go to these shops and stores in your day. This is your 3rd house. It's also your social media landscape, and you might want to make changes there as well. It's where we communicate through social media. And Venus here is in debility, so she's kind of down and out, down for the count, not feeling so great. And she does rule your 4th house of home, property, land, and real estate. So there's a possible bleed through there where she's unhappy in the 3rd house. This could even be her having a lot of expenses connected to your home and your property and your real estate, a lot of expenditures here. And Mars is squaring from the house of expenses. So it doubles down in a way on the idea of this idea that maybe you're feeling that you're driving hard at something you wish to accomplish. It may be requiring a lot of time doing it, especially alone, working hard at something. Maybe Your kids are asleep, your husband's in bed, and you're working, or your wife, and you're working away at it in your downtime, in your alone time. And yet it may be causing you to feel drained or unhappy with your daily routines in life. And it's a big call for you to really repair that, because otherwise you're just going to feel frustrated or anxious this week ahead. If you're wanting to repair your daily habits, routines, and your daily environment, lifestyle thing, just make a choice to do that, right? Just find a way to do that. Because otherwise, I think you could be feeling like you're not sleeping at night. Mars is in a house where he could disrupt your sleep. You wake up at 3 in the morning, your cortisol feels jacked up or something like that. Siblings bring tension. The generic house of siblings is activated. Venus rules the house of the sibling one older. So you could have some tensions with a sibling one above you in birth order, or you may have some tensions in general with siblings and disputes with siblings this week. The bigger picture of Mars and Venus is Capricorn. There was a reset button in your house of business partnerships, audience, marketplace, customers, as well as your marriage. That reset button that happened here is trying to reboot you in some fundamental way in the area of your life. It is about committed love. And so certainly the cosmic lovers are asking you to fall in love with your audience, your marketplace, your business partners, but certainly your spouse. If you don't have a spouse, yes, I'm going to say you could be rebooting here for a new spouse, right? That could happen for you. A new spouse could come your way. And I kind of think that this is just a stepping stone in the multiple segments of the turning points that end in 2027 November. But look for ways that you can decompress this week with siblings in particular. And expenses and expenditures that feel especially connected to the home or anything else that feel like they're taking you down. Even expenses connected to your children. Mars rules your children. And all of a sudden you're like, I'm pulling my hair out. My kid is broke again and I have to step in. That's an example. So there's a lot of money tension there with a child potentially as well. All right, so we're going to move past that story and we're going to move to the next sign. Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, dynamic tension this week ahead connected to Mars in your house of friendships, and also the house of a sibling, one older than you in birth order. Also the house of maybe your career goals and ambitions. And as Mars is here squaring Venus in a money house, there's dynamic financial tension for sure. She's a goddess of money in a money house. And what is the money tension about? With money tension with a sibling one older or any sibling in general. Venus rules all siblings for you. Creative dynamic tension regarding things to do with what you want to accomplish and you want to achieve in your career, like your vision, your long-range goals and dreams for your career success, and financial uncertainty, financial challenge, or financial obligation. Now, this is only a short window of time this week, right? You're going to feel it like coming into this week through to the end of the week. Tuesday, Wednesday kind of might feel most critically icky. But you have to remember the real big picture story that goes almost 2 years, January of 26, all the way through until November of 27, is you're trying to reset yourself in your work house. Work, livelihood, employment, employees, the workspace. Yes, it's health. Yes, it's pets. Yes, it's rental properties, but it's primarily also one's service in the world. And it is always in flow to money and career. And so this is a part of your life that is having a shift of direction. It's just changing. And I talked about a little bit, like, go look at the chart I shared, but in February of 22 to March of 22, there was a short little reset button here as well. You might want to calibrate back in time how you may have changed matters to do with pets, health, rental properties, and debts. Right? What did you do back then? Spring, February 22 to March of 22. Then this reset is much longer, right? Till November of 27 from January of 26. And that is your karmic cosmic reset button. And I wonder, I just had an idea. I'm just trying to get this mic to, I heard an echo, right? What about this? I'm trying all these new things. It shouldn't be this hard. If I use this mic or any mic on Zoom, or just on my QuickTime, or even on anything but Riverside, everything sounds fine. Oh, I think that helped. Testing 1, 2, that did help. Oh, I think I got rid of some echo by putting a book in front of my laptop. Yay me. Thank you for all your kindness, for your suggestions, for those who in the comments or even by email have been trying to help. I think I fixed one of the problems just now. All right, how about we talk about the next story? You are well, let me finish with you. Did a pet pass away? I know it sounds awful, but Mars Venus can be a leave taking of a pet back in 2022. And if you have an elder ailing pet, probably this reset button, January of 26 to November 27 may end the eldering out pet's reality structure. I'm talking about elder pets mostly because Capricorn is one of the signs of the old elder people. Okay, because it's ruled by Saturn. All right, we're going to move past that and just know that this tension will not last. Please watch all my other videos, including the Jupiter reset button here. That's a big video. It's got its own standalone story because it's too important to try to cram into a week ahead. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising, we're really focused on the dynamic critical turning point tension between Venus, the goddess of love, in your sign, and Mars in your career space. Now, career space stories are likely about career space stories. Are you quitting your job? Is a job quitting you? Are you feeling something like a massive turning point is trying to happen in the work and career environment? Well, at the same time, you are not having a good time. Venus is great for your physical beauty, your wardrobe, your hair. Right now, people might think you look great. You might also be wanting to look good to others as well. But Venus is also in a condition of her detriment, also called exile. So right now, you might be feeling a little bit ill at ease with how you look in the world, Virgo, with your physical appearance, with your health even. And against that backdrop, Mars is pushing from the 10th house. Mars in the 10th house often means you are working too hard. You're working your ass off. You are grinding. You are pushing. You are dynamically focused like a greyhound racehorse to get some things done in the career space, workspace. Not easy sometimes when Mars is there, right? Sometimes it means you're getting ready to walk away, quit, or something like that. And you could have a breaking point here because something about reality right now is telling me that you're not enjoying it, right? Especially given that Mercury rules Venus and he is basically spent a lot of time rethinking your career gains in the last 2 months of whether it's worth it. So you might make a major change in your relationship status too, not just your work status, only because the 10th house is how people identify you. I'm separated, married, widowed, divorced, and it's not likely, but it could be that you're going to take a break from a relationship that you're in if it's about your social standing, how the world sees you in the world as like, the Sonny and Cher couple are taking a break. If your reputation is really connected to your partnership, if that's a part of your realm, this could also be a timeout corner for you and another person that you are in a long-standing love affair with. And, with Venus ruling your money house, part of the problem or part of the issues are money and work, tension with your finances and work. Maybe not getting a livable wage, as my daughter, Virgo rising daughter says, I don't get a livable wage, Mom. And it's true, she doesn't, right? You guys know the standard of living and the wage ratio has stayed flat, where the cost of living has dynamically increased since the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So these young people, Gen Zs, are really screwed. Let me just say they're really screwed. So I can say that there's a possibility that she might be looking at money tension. The new button of resetting her reality happened, and your reality as a Virgo in your 5th house of joy, pleasure, fun, play, romantic love, affection, fertility, and pregnancy, and matters connected strongly to doing things in life that bring you a sense of inspired enthusiasm. And because of that reset button in January that doesn't expire until the end of November, you are really focused over those 2 years on that area of your life. If your job is not bringing you joyful enthusiasm, well, maybe it's time to exit. Right, maybe. Yeah, there was a February of 22 to March of 22 little reset button in their 5th house as well of a similar nature. So go back to look at what I've described to you and compare notes. I think my daughter in 22 left a job she hated. She was still a student at school, right? But she had a side hustle. And you might also figure out that you really want, with that reset button, to consider matters to do with fertility, because Venus is a fertility goddess, and Mars is a sexy, hot stallion, and it can indicate like this romantic fury that leads to a kind of conception status. So, hot, passionate nights with your partner over the next couple of years can yield a baby if you are of childbearing age. If not, no worries. Maybe one of your children will do that and make a baby for you, and you'll be a grandparent. That's another story that may emerge in the next couple of years. My best advice to you: if you're not satisfied with the amount of money you're making relative to your career, then this may be a time to make a major life decision to walk away. And maybe you're just tired of what you're doing. Maybe it's just no longer suiting you and you're ready to make a change. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. Okay. Mars and Venus, lovers in the cosmic order, are in a tight dynamic tension on the week ahead. You're feeling it, of course, all the way through Monday to Friday, pretty exact Tuesday, Wednesday. The energy is Mars pushing Venus here, who is home alone in quiet solitude or wants to be. Maybe she wants to do a pilgrimage, go to the ashram. Maybe she's thinking it's a really good idea to just sort of take a chill pill and meditate in her basement or something. This is like solitude is solace. Alone time feels super swell. And Mars is pushing her. And Mars is in a place of travel. Often this is a call for an international adventure. And this could also be a call for a movement, a dynamic movement, like an exciting way you want to move towards publishing, purpose, maybe even educational opportunities. And so there's a lot of excitement up here for Mars, and he's fine in Gemini, and he's got a lot of innovative ideas or breakthrough energy. And yet you've got this Venus hunkered down in the alone space, wishing to be pure. Yeah, Venus in Virgo is purity. And maybe even like, kind of a rehab vibe, or taking a purity approach to your life. Maybe even a romantic love for celibacy as well. Under this energy, though, we see that you must make decisions and take actions. And ninth house people could be very pivotal. A coach, a guide, a business coach, a mentor, any one of these types could be really driving you with advice or guidance to go in a certain direction. Venus is the ruler of your sign, as she is for Taurus. You've got to pay attention to what she's up to, because she's going to try her best to help you and make the best decisions, help you make the best decisions possible under any circumstance at all. There may be some exciting or intense energies around your banking, your loans, your mortgages, your investment portfolio, because Venus rules that. And this is a house of losses or expenditures. And you may be feeling a bit adrift this week as some of your investments or your 401k or whatever you have feels like it's gone downhill. That's okay. That's life. Life is full of those movements one way or the other. But Mars is having you make decisions based on guides and mentors, people helping you decide about any kind of downdraft you might have in your finances this week ahead. Mars rules your spouse as well, and maybe major decisions you're making in a relationship to a spousal or long-term love relationship. Yet you're looking at mostly the money you share with that partner and how you wish to invest it or share it or do something with any partnerships, business or love, and shared money. And there's a major thrust there. The conjunction happened in the fourth house. It usually will indicate a change of home. Venus and Mars did co-join here way the hell back in 1993, and like 93 to 95, you might have changed your home, right? But here we have it back again. And this reset button in Capricorn happened in February to March of 25. March, that's just a short time. Is that down, right? I think so. I think it was a really weird short-term reboot. You may have made some decisions around your home then as well. In the sky with Capricorn fourth house, I think a lot of you will relocate. Okay, a lot of you are thinking that where you live right now isn't the house for you. It can be a big change for you. It can be that you're in the middle of a 2-year story that will put you in a completely different living environment by the time we get to November of 27. If you're going to move in November of 27 with that cosmic reset, you're looking for a place that's very much about, well, it could be rocky hill shores, rocky hills overlooking water, but Capricorn, see, high hills where the rams are climbing and stuff like that. But it literally can be like you're looking for a sturdy, reliable, and long-term solution to a place that you really want to settle down in, right? So keep that in mind as well. And you would like to likely think of wanting to maybe buy a home under the sky. So there's something about you maybe wanting to purchase a home or buy a home or sell a home in connection with your significant long-term love partnership. So there's that thing playing out over the next 2 years. You don't have a partner, then maybe you will. And because of that, there's a new home. But that plays out through till the end of 2027. So you've got a long way to go before you get to the final result. So, it's a long-term story I'm talking about here for you guys. Oh my God, it was mid-February. February 16th of 2022 to March 6th of 2022, there was a temporary blip of a Capricorn reset button. That is nuts, guys. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. It looks to me like you will be having some tension here this week ahead. And it looks like tension in your 8th house, with Mars being highly decisive, active, ambitious, motivated, and pushing Venus this way to go along with it. Big changes in money connected to your work gains, okay? It doesn't have to be a problem, it's just a change. There's situational changes connected to the gains of your career and work, where you are now making decisions or having terminus strategies, an end of some situation, like you're no longer going to have commission checks, or you're going, like my son, to have paternity leave, probably during that week ahead. And therefore, it's just a dynamic, pivotal change. You could have some disagreements with a sibling, one older than you, friends, allies, or benefactors around money matters this week ahead. You may also be finding yourself having a strong disagreement of some kind with a friend, with someone important to you. And it may have something to do with unknown variables like secrets or hidden realm stories. Mercury just went direct. He was retrograde. So if there are any unknown variables with someone important to you, a sibling, one older, a friend, things that were not known may be revealed and may cause tension between you and that person this week ahead. Okay, so we'll look for that story, especially Wednesday and Thursday, for more precision. As you know, in the beginning, I talked about the cosmic reset button really began in Capricorn, and that's where over the next couple of years, January of 26 to November of 2027, you're going to have an incredible change in your 3rd house environment. Now, that can be a massive change in your local environment, literally like your neighborhood, your village, your town. Like you may be not staying where you live. There may be a major relocation that's in play. And so I'm nested in this, maybe I'm changing where I live story, is this friction right now. That can be money connected to inheritances as well, and tension there that you're experiencing. And also you may be experiencing a lot of tension, according to Mars anyway, with debts. Like you go, I got to eliminate this debt. I got to pay down this credit card debt. And you're maybe hoping, or to push through on some career gain, or sibling, one older, or a friend that will help you solve a debt situation. And maybe that's just the tension itself. Ultimately, by November 27, 2027, some of you may have left your zone of living, your village, your town, your neighborhood will have changed. And possibly because of Mars's rulership of your rental property house, it's because you're going to rent a new home, right? Or you've eliminated more debt and now you can purchase a home. And so there's something going on for that story in the back room, drop back, the background of what's happening this week. You might be headed for a new location, and everything about now till November, including this week, is somehow moving you and pivoting you towards perhaps a relocation in your life. And Mars and Venus conjoined in your 3rd house, if you're a writer, if you're a social media marketer and a communicator, is a reset button there for you, and you may be resetting that. And all of that says, 1993, had a couple of years, January of 93, you had the same energy field in your 3rd house. And so it's been a while since you felt that energy. And so over the next couple of years, it's back again in the same type of way, right? Because it was Mars joining with the Sun, Venus joining with the Sun. So there's a sense of responding to life again in the next couple of years, like you might have done back in 93 and back in 4 or 5. I should have clarified that for you. What I'm talking about is the solar resets that happen with Venus and Mars in Capricorn in 1993. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign, the energy of Mars and Venus joining together in Capricorn started for you in January. I want to start there with you guys, okay? That reset button is a big umbrella under which this week's story will fall, the cosmic lovers in a tango of friction. So where is your Capricorn part of your chart? It's your money, it's your earnings, it's your financial resources. And in many ways, this conjunction that began in January of this year and doesn't close out till November of 2027 may remind you of your life in 1993-94. There's similarities to do with the solar conjunctions. And in this regard, you might really start to think about money changes that happened back then. But more importantly, This reset button that ends in November of 2027 is likely to change your relationship to your money, and you may even experience that as some positive changes in your money, by the way. By the time you get to November 2027, it could look like some windfall money or some unexpected boon or bounty coming to you based on Mars's rulership of your 5th and Venus of your 11th. But now with this week ahead, what we're noticing is that we have trouble in the heavens. Venus and Mars are, when push comes to shove, Mars is pushing Venus. Who is pushing? Is there somebody in your life? It could be a sibling, 3 younger, 3 older. It could be a business partner. It could be a relationship partner is pushing Venus, which is a part of your story, in the 10th house of career and reputation. And a lot of you Sagittarius might be making some major changes in your significant love relationship, like getting divorced, married, widowed, all of that, announcing to the world, who knows, or your partner's announcing to you that they're done with this marriage because the social standing has fallen and Mars is squaring, and there's a major change in your social standing. If you're not married already, I wouldn't start a new relationship at all under this week's sky. It will be building in a dynamic argument for the rest of that relationship. You may be looking at breaking legal contracts, or breaking legal contracts may come up for you this week ahead, especially legal contracts connected to marriage and or career matters, and breaking those contracts could happen. Ultimately, everything's here to try to help change your money situation in the next couple of years. So whatever this tension is, you're gonna have to roll with it and see how it goes. Venus up here can be a female in a position of authority. You're having some dynamic conflict with that female. Venus rules the gains of your career. You thought you'd make more money on that gig. You thought you were going to get that raise and you didn't. And you may be getting really frustrated this week with what you might perceive as failure to launch or succeed in some career ambition or money-making ambition that you had based on your career path. It'll pass, right? It's kind of hitting the mark around Tuesday and Wednesday, and then it will be done. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and rising. So your sky was lit, right, in January 8th when Venus and Mars co-joined here. They also joined with the Sun, so you haven't seen that tension or that story actually since like say January of 93, add a couple of years for it to fully flesh out. You might want to go back and compare, because the cosmic lovers are literally reuniting in your own Sun, Moon, and rising. Sun is your career, reignition of career and purpose. The Moon is your feeling state and your home and nest. Capricorn moons, reignition of where you live. So if you're a Cap moon listening to this, did you change your home sometime in 93, 94? And if you're a Sun, did you have a new purpose or direction or highlight of your career at 93, 94? And if you're a Capricorn rising, did your whole identity seem to change on a weird axis of shift in those years behind you? It's kind of like that time. So by November of 27, that story is returning to you. You're feeling that renewal the same way it happened back then. Now, when the cosmic lover is connected here in your sign in January, and don't complete that story until November of 2027, but embedded within it is this opening square. Venus is coming into dynamic tension with Mars. He's pushing her from behind. This is a work house, a debt house, a livelihood house. This is also rental properties and pets. Now, Mars is at it here. He's like shoving and pushing Venus around some decisions that must be made. There is a way that this can have you make major life decisions connected to work this week ahead, to your debt situations and who you owe money to, especially females, especially legal, right, like entitled monies, like could be spousal support that a female is meant to receive from you. And Mars is pushing and shoving against matters to do with foreign people, foreign lands, and foreign travel. Ultimately, everything is about you having a complete renewal of self by the end of 2027, complete change of everything. But with Venus ruling your career space and your reputation, there is something for you to think about, because this week is like a guidepost tension. This energy is showing you something that you need to move toward, ultimately, in order for that career space to light up. And Mars may be also, if you're already working, we're going to cut bait What is that thing when you're fishing? Anyway, you're going to cut bait. You're going to get out of the situation that's difficult. You're going to quit your job, or you're going to quit something difficult about your workspace. But you had a lot of legal things here, human resource departments, legal issues, red tape to address. I mean, this could be an opportunity for a new work, professional job, employment opportunity, but you might have to go through a lot of pressure to get a visa thing actualized, right? This is visas up here in order for that work situation to materialize. There's just a lot of tension to move and act urgently to secure the legal status you need for the work thing to happen. Certainly, Mars is in a house of sickness and he's squaring Venus, and Venus is, potentially, she rules your fifth house. So watch for challenges to your health connected to sexual activity. I know that sounds really weird, but Venus rules the house of sexual activity. She's pure and but fallen in Virgo, and Mars is in the house of sickness. So I'm just saying, don't catch an STD. This is not a good week to be doing unprotected sexual activity. That's all I'm going to say. Forewarned is forearmed. Alrighty? I'm one of you. Yes, Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. Let's talk about it. We got a story, and the story is that we have a renewal energy here in the house of full enlightenment that happened back in in January on the 8th, and it lasts until the end of November. And everything about this is more digital income, borderless revenue, maybe making money from foreign countries, foreign people and places, a reset button around spiritual attainment and enlightenment. And that happened in a way that we can't compare exactly the same way unless we go back to 1993, 94, 95, like that window of time. And you can go back and see how you worked that story back then. Now, this time around, the story is actually going to unfold in this week ahead as a subchapter of that greater story. And the subchapter is Venus is being pushed by Mars from the fifth house. Now, fifth house is sexual and romantic love, and Mars is passion and ardor, and Venus is the romantic affection. And there is a critical energy here for you to consider when it comes to romantic love, partnerships, and sexual energy. And so therefore, at a very practical level, if you're in a relationship already, then something may be going on around, the 27th to around the end of the week. So look to what's happening. Now, Venus is in a hidden house, and there may be a hidden love story. There may be, first of all, you could have suddenly understood that you've got a secret admirer, Venus in the 8th house, and now you're taking action on it, or you are keeping a low-key lid on some romantic thing that's beginning to heat up. You don't want to tell the world about it. You're keeping it private for some reason. Mars is also about your artistic, creative, and entrepreneurial chutzpah. And he's in the part of the house that represents those things because he's like dynamically excited or passionate or working hard and feeling inspired maybe because of Uranus. And now we have to deal with a money issue. Now, the money issues of the 8th house can be like just things to do with taxes or banking or finances or loans, right? And maybe just a moment to address some of these things that week ahead. And with Venus ruling your 9th house, it could also be about money connected to a sibling too older, for example, a sibling 4 younger than you in birth order, or money connected to matters of international travel, money connected to matters of publishing and book publishing. And maybe all we're looking at is major decisions made behind the scenes by you and how to execute creative, artistic, and entrepreneurial things connected to international revenue, book publishing deals, and things like that. It's hard to say what it really is. Ultimately, everything you're doing in the next 2 years is about recalibrating your 12th house. And in our modern day, we do make digital income and borderless revenue and money from abroad, or we digital nomad out. We get money from the foreign, far off places. And so you may be changing a structure around your entrepreneurial business and your taxes or your payout structures, or something else is changing here. But it could feel tense. It could feel like you're really biting your nails on this one. Watch for some challenges around money and a child, or maybe there's a lot of intensity about a child and their money, and you're simply witnessing that on the sidelines, or probably an adult child rather than the kid with the piggy bank, all right, who maybe they lose their piggy bank. If you're in a relationship, this could be actually very hot. You might have like a tantric sexual sizzling encounter, or a taboo kinky encounter in the sexual realm this week ahead as an Aquarius. So that's something you might think about as well. You may have some changes going on in your home life connected to shared spousal resources and conflict. So home life, shared spousal resources, and conflict, urging you to stay calm. But because Mars is in the 5th house and he's in a trine to you, you're going to use his powers in some way to get what you can from the situation. He is in a house of good fortune. And finally, last and never least, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. So let's start it with January of 2026, when Mars joined in harmony conjunction with Venus in your Capricorn house of great gains from your career, and also your sibling one older, and also matters connected to your visions and dreams and wishes for your life and your goals for your life, right? And so because of Mars and Venus co-joining here, you might want to try time travel back to 1993, January, at a couple of years when they were both, joining here, joining with the sun. It's very similar to that time compared to other times. And you can really be rebooting, renewing, and restarting like a firing pistol the ways you wish to gain money from your career. New career paths may open up. New abilities to earn money in new ways may beginning to open up between January of 26 to end of November of 2027. And against the backdrop of that story, we're going to talk about this week's tension, because Mars in the 4th house of where you live is pushing Venus in the house of your business partners, clients, audience, and marriage partner. Now, ultimately, when Mars is down here, you might find yourself constructing or building or renovating your home. And that might have been true for the last few weeks and is true this week ahead. But Mars is also squaring the marriage house, and Venus is there and she's fallen. This can be an indication of domestic tension with a long-term live-in cohabitational love partner. So I'm going to warn you about that, because it looks pretty much like there's domestic arguments or domestic discord going on this week ahead. Not everyone will feel that, and maybe you don't have a live-in cohabitational love partner, so no big deal. Let it go. But you may be arguing over shared resources and shared finances here, because Venus owns that with a business partner or love partner. And Venus also owns a Taurus sky in your chart, and Taurus is your house of siblings and short distance travel. For example, there may be some money tension regarding a sibling as well, or a money tension regarding trips and travel. Ultimately, Mars can say, I want to bust out and travel. I want to leave my home. I want to separate from my home. And there's tension about actually getting that travel to work, maybe because of things that are going on with your spouse. Your spouse was under a lot of South Node tension for 1.5 years, and that's kind of now ended. But they may have had health challenges, for example, or depletion or depression. And, you might want to get away and travel, but now you can't go anywhere from your home because there's something going on with a spouse. And that may be a story for some of you as well. When Mars and Venus square from 4 to 7, it can really fracture a relationship, okay? So my guidance for you is try to work, speak softly and carry a big stick, or whatever that thing is. I mean, try to work with this, because it can be really difficult energy, especially with Uranus, like a sudden shattering in a relationship, a sudden violent disagreement, so to speak. So this is your cautionary note, especially Tuesday, Wednesday, but it's active all week. Ultimately, it doesn't matter, because you're resetting your career gains, and I think you're going to make lots more money by November of 2027 in some career ambition, and your career direction will feel more like you're aligned with your wishes and your goals for what you want to achieve in a career as well. That's what I've got for you. Now we're going to talk about the Sky Reader program. All you have to do is listen to what's next, and you'll find out all about Sky Reader and whether you want to join in. And here we go. Every year I teach Sky Reader in the fall. It's always in September. It's usually 6 weeks long, and this time we're going for 7. We're taking it a little slower, giving you a very kind of leg up first week, which we take the pieces of the sky and teach you to read them in a very constructive and well-paced manner. This is my favorite class to teach. When I teach Sky Reader, I always feel so excited, because you have learned to read your own sky. You now know what your chart is all about, and you know how to read the basic language of astrology for your friends, family, and your children, whoever you want to share it with. No, we're not professionally certifying you. At Lunatic Astrology, I'm your teacher, Lori Lothian. We're teaching you to fish so that when you listen to me on YouTube and you're getting all of that guidance, maybe you can also get your own. You know, we don't want to move against the sky. We want to move with the sky. We want to move in the area of our lives that brings us flow and ease, because the sky supports that. And by having a knowledge of what the sky is saying and relative to our own natal sky, we are able to operate at a new level. That level is about flow. It is about not arguing with what is happening and moving in the direction of what wants to happen. It is so darn simple. Life is full of ups and downs, but if you know that there's a swamp, 2 doors away, and if you walk that way, you're going to get stuck in quicksand, you can avoid that. If you go to the left instead of the right, there's a beautiful meadow with a lake. Why not take that path? The sky is always grabbing us. It's called the grahas, or the grabbers. The planetary planets, like where they're going in the sky, the transits, that moving heavens, the moving stars, the map of time is a map of where we should avoid getting stuck and where we may move forward with freedom. And the grabber part of planets is that they're almost like celestial teasers, right? They want to grab us and make us move in a direction. Sometimes it's not in our highest and best good. And I don't mean in a conscious, malefic way. I just mean you can take something like Neptune and make it all about transcendence and spiritual union and high creativity and imagination. And you can take it all the way down to drug addiction, and destitution maybe, and even things to do with mental challenges, health challenges. So you can operate at all levels of every planet. In Sky Reader, we show you your highest potential. Now, this is an introductory class. If you want to come to Sky Reader to be your own astrologer and time your best life, then you're coming because you are curious astrologically. You're not coming because you've already taken some heavyweight courses under your belt. You're coming because you've been listening to my channel or other astrologers, and you've always had a curiosity about learning, and you always want to learn to read the sky, which is the map of time. So I'm hoping some of you will come join me there, because I've graduated hundreds of students so far, and the feedback is wonderful. And I invite all of my students, former, to come back every year and play around in redoing the course for 75% off, because I think the more you do it, the more you deepen it. We have guest teachers every year. When you join Sky Reader, you get the archived vault. In other words, you can go back and watch other guest classes in astrocartography, the astrology of relocation, and things to do with zodiacal releasing and more. We have these guest teachers coming in this year, are so much fun. We have a guest teacher about the love codes, Donnie Lim of astrology, learning to read your Venus story. We have a guest teacher coming in about medical or wellness astrology. We have another one showing us about how to choose the perfect day to do something, day and time to launch your website, get married. That's called electional astrology. We have what's your purpose, dharma kind of thing with another teacher. So what we're doing is we're giving you a lot of content. What you're doing is you're taking time to learn, but also to hold on to that content forever. It is evergreen. Once you have it, you never don't have it. If it's over your head at first, you won't be over your head when you take a second stab at it. Weekly Q&As, different time zones, so we can get people around the world in those Q&As. We alternate between evening and night every second week on Wednesday nights, and usually they're at 5:30 or 6 p.m. Pacific time. We also have the idea that the class itself is now happening at 9:30 a.m. in Pacific time on Saturday, starting on the 19th of September. So that's wonderful. We have a Facebook group and a Discord group that we have moderators running, where you can meet other people who are learning astrology, share your notes, and get to meet some new astrologically curious friends. Who knows? You might meet your soulmate there. And we're also taking you through a journey that is sequential, from learning to read the sky to being able to use 2 very profound timing tools to help you understand your reality and begin to move forward with ease and grace. The feedback from Sky Reader year after year has been phenomenal, and every time I teach it, I learn to make it more simple, more well-paced, and more easy for you to grasp. So I'm in 7 years of doing this. I think I'm getting it down finally to a fine art, thanks to you guys. I'm going to show you the website just so you see what it looks like. I'm now moving most of my content to lorilothian.com. It used to be somewhere else at Padaya. If you're there already, nothing is taken away from you. At this point, though, I'll show you the new website so you can take a gander at what the sky looks like over there, what my site looks like. And I hope to see some of you in class. I always say this, and I'm not making this up. You might probably think, oh, that's a sales pitch. Oh, I might not teach this next year. That's not true. I always wonder if I'm just going to retire and start to write books. And my agent wants me to write a book. And so I have a lot on my plate. to get done in this life. Legacy is to leave a book behind. So for me, when I say I may not teach this next year, Lori may not teach this next year. Okay. All right. So this is the website, lorilothian.com. If you go /sky-reader, you'll be at the introduction to the course and the enrollment page. We're on a discount code right now until the end of July. Well, it's not a code, it's just a discount. There's 40% off the full price. And then in August, depending on when you hear this, there'll be another lower price, not as discounted as July's early enrollment price, but by September, it will go to full price. So make sure that you get in this class with a discount if that's something you're looking for. So you can see this beautiful website was created by my team. I think it's gorgeous. Learn to read your sky. And then there's a preview of what we have going on. So when you get into the course backdrop and you're there, you're going to have like stuff already waiting for you, a little tutorial on how to cast your chart in whole sign houses, free minis of the 12 houses PDF. And I have what I call your Astro Toolkit. I'm always adding more stuff to that toolkit. You don't need a professional software. You can use Astrocom, astro-seek.com, time passages. These are free softwares. This is not requiring you to purchase professional software in order to learn in my course. And you'll see that we have the toolkit here. These are elements that go in, how to cast your chart in whole sign houses. These are already in the back end of the program. Your cheat sheet pack, 12 signs, 12 houses guide. This is just learning tools. This is all going to help you learn. For most classes, I'll be putting together a handbook to help guide you through each class, which is new this year, kind of a prompts, a questions, things to fill out so that you can use it as a kind of self-study tool. Just print it out on a PDF on a computer. I'll aim to keep it black and white, of course, so you don't have to worry about color. And then we see that the Astrology 101 is we set you up really slowly. I call it the slow start, where we're really going to build the basic building blocks together so that when you come off of week one, you are like someone who went to kindergarten to learn the alphabet. You're going to have the basics in your toolkit, in your understanding already. And then we talk about the various parts of the sky, the big four, the 12 houses, dignity matters. Planets have dignity. You want to understand that. Otherwise, there's nothing you're going to understand without that. Dignity matters. We're also using whole sign houses, and this is ancient Hellenistic astrology. The focus will not be on the outer planets because we can't use them as time lords. And so it's not that there's anything wrong with the outer planets, but they're not good for timing your best life. Unless you want to live 248 years, says Pluto, 164 years, says Neptune, or 84 years, says Uranus. They're not the most timely tools, right? Solar returns is one of the things we do, and we learn about the perfection ages. Now, you may think I know all about my solar return and my perfection age. I don't think you do. I embed in some advanced tools there for you that you won't probably find anywhere else after like 8 years and thousands of clients, nonstop teaching and seeing real clients in the trenches. I have figured a few things out, and I always like to share what I figured out with you guys so that you can also use those tools the way I do. There's always bonus content here. And so you get from me, not to use until you've taken Sky Reader, the birthday chart advanced course as your solar return, the annual perfections advanced course, and how to find people in your chart. Where's my mom? Where's my kids? Where's my husband? Where's my siblings? How to find the planets that represent those people in your chart. That is also a part of a course that I've taught that I give you as a part of your bonus toolkit. Okay, so I hope you guys will go over. I hope you'll have fun if you come to study with me. I would love to see you there. When I talk about teaching, without a doubt, it is my favorite thing to do. It gives me a joy, actually. I remember years ago, I went to see a psychic reader in Coquitlam, Canada. That's outside of Vancouver. She looked at me as I walked in the room. This is like 15 years ago. And she said, teacher, 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 you are a teacher. At the time, I was a magazine editor and a writer, and I had no idea what she was talking about. And look at her today. She was right 15 years later. That is my passion. That is what I do. Hope you'll join me. I'll see you guys in Sky Reader, and let's have some fun learning together. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you in the next video, and we'll be getting some live streams just for members only coming up. I'm just figuring out how to do it. Probably a public live stream, and then we segue to the members only segment at the end. And I'm just trying to figure that out with my team, how to do that probably in August. So hang in there. I will be having more content for you guys as I develop my tech savvy. Ciao, ciao.
Lunatic astrology.